Good afternoon and welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. However, if you're watching this and you're not subscribed already, which is about 50+% of the audience, please hit that subscribe button so I can get to about 5,000 subscribers before Christmas. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside the show while it is live. And most importantly, if you would like to join the debate and express your views on the shape of the Earth with your page that you are currently watching on mute, simply click on the link in the info box below this video to join the debate and express your views on the shape of the Earth. There are only a couple of rules. Number one, please do not swear. If you do, you will be ejected. And number two, if you are ejected, please do not try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You will be warmly welcomed back on the next stream. So once more, if you haven't shared the show, please share it on social media. I'm going to transition to my photos and do the same. And once again, if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. I've just shared the show on Facebook, Skype and Twitter, and once more I would encourage anybody who is in the live audience to please also share the show on social media. If you are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. And as I said earlier, about 50+% of the people who are watching this video right now are not subscribed, so please hit that subscribe button and the bell notification icon. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside the show while it is live. And if you would like to join the debate, there is a link in the info box below this video. With the page you are currently watching on mute, simply click on that link to join the show and express your views on the shape of the Earth. Please do not swear in the hangout, you will be ejected if you do so, and if you are, please do not try to rejoin the show using sock accounts. You may hear from me one more time if we're not joined by a guest, just to plug the show links once more, and if we are joined by a guest, I'll introduce them when they join. Do a few shout-outs. I've now shared the show. So, Twit, good to see you. You were indeed first. Thank you for being here. Bill G, hey to you too. North Mubark, great name. Good to have you here. Hope I've said your name correctly. Shill Scanner, very pleased to have you here. Nice to see you. Physics Warrior, thanks for being here also. Nice to see you too. Chris Rogers, thank you for being in our hangout. Nice to have you here. Flat Earth is a cult biggest money scams on YouTube. Thanks for being here. Or a mouthful. Nathan Oakley's dresser says wiggle wiggle. Good to have you here. Scooby-Doo, I see you. Thanks for being here. Huey, thanks for being here as well. Nice to see you in our chat. Yvette, Rebel, good morning to you. Very pleased to have you here. Ron Burgundy, nice to see you as well. Maggie M, thanks for being in our chat. Good to have you. Curved Water, hooray! Pleased to see you. And P Mars too. Hello P Mars. Thanks for being here. Nice to see you, Everett Anderson. All the free people, thanks for being here too. Jonathan Roberts says, oi oi Nathan. Oi oi Jonathan. Pleased to have you here. Hope you're not getting sucked too far into the Metatron nonsense. Roger Vercake. Pleased to have you here. Critical Thinking Always. Nice to see you too. Be sure to subscribe to Critical Thinking Always. Excellent videographer. Shroominati. Hello everyone. Hello to you too, Shroomy. I think that's probably about it. I think I've shouted out absolutely everybody. I missed you. I apologise in advance. I will type out shout-outs when we have a guest. In the meantime, please share the show. And I'll see you again in a moment to plug the links or introduce our first guest. Hello, I'm Rick. Thanks for being here. P Mars says, aliens created the flat earth. Is that so, P Mars? Do you have some evidence for that statement? Tavis Cloud, thank you for being here. It says aliens made flat Mars. Presumably a reference to P Mars. Shroominati says, I made Flat Earth up and everyone stole it. Curved Water replies, sue 'em, Shroomy. P. Mars says his source was Mark Sargent. Well, that's good to know. Ron Burgundy says, Shroomy has the copyright on Flat Earth. I bet he does. Good to have you here, Stan Falcon. Thanks for being here. Interesting. If it is enclosed, it is more likely a technologically advanced species that created Earth rather than God, in my opinion. Well, that technologically advanced species could be called God also. It got up to 148 the last show, Critical Thinking Always. It says 135 viewers in the last show. Hell yeah, Nathan, great work. Yeah, it got up to 148 at peak. I was hoping to get to 150, not quite. Sure, if everybody shares the show on this live feed, we will get to 150. Yeah, 148. I can't believe it either. I had no idea. At one stage, I was going to just give up on these shows because none of them were getting any money in. And as much as that sounds mercenary, I do like money. Like everybody. And I did want them to make money. Like all the shows I do, I want them all to make money. That's not the primary purpose, but it is certainly a purpose. I need coffers, so does everybody. And they weren't. They were all being demonetized. And I just had a conversation with Zoe, and I was like, I'll get to 10, and if it continues, I'll just give up. And she kind of agreed and said, yeah, 10's a good number, just stop. And I can't remember who it was that encouraged me to carry on, but I did. And yeah, here we are, 43 shows in. And yeah, if it wasn't for the super chat supporters, I wouldn't be doing this, I'll be honest. You know, it's just, as much as it's fun, my time has to be monetized. That's just life. What's up with the demonetization? I don't know. I don't think it's the content. I think it's a YouTube thing. I mean, when I'm watching videographers that are making videos about cars and moaning that they've had their videos demonetized, then it can't be anything to do with the subject matter. It's just the way YouTube is at the moment. Twitwit says, I like your shows, Nathan. Thank you, Twitwit. I like having you in the chat. You're a proper character. But yeah, so really, if you are enjoying the show, don't thank me, thank the super chat supporters, because they're the main reason I'm doing it, as mercenary as that sounds. Harvey Chuckles, pleased to see you. Someone saying hello to him, I assume he's here. Oh, that Harvey Chuckles is a known troll. Yeah, there's lots of trolls, but so what? Everyone's welcome here. I mean, there's a top 10 list of people that I'm told to eject or not allow on the show, and I reply to all of the people who ask me to eject somebody or ban somebody or remove them from the chat is the same. All are welcome. Same when people say, oh, well, the panel's filled up with globe heads. It's like, well, you're a flat earther. You could have filled the panel up. There's only 10 spaces. I'm pretty sure there's more than 10 flat earthers on YouTube. So it'd be very easy for flat earthers to fill the panel up. Shield Scanner says, I super shared it, Nathan. Thank you very much, Shield Scanner, for the super share. Hit that super like. Curved Water is not a troll. Chris Rogers. There's a big difference between Curved Water, who comes in and expresses his views, and will often bite his tongue, keep his politeness in check where he may not want to. There's a big difference between that and somebody who comes into the chat room just to spout abuse at everybody who's in the chat room, and me as the host. And even Curved Water, he gets abuse from people in the chat room. They're the trolls, not the people on the panel. No, my respect goes out to Curved Water. I am very, very grateful for his input. Dawn Treader UK, pleased to have you here. Slow start, 13 minutes in. Last few shows, people have twigged that if you get in early, you get to express your views without being challenged. I have said it on, you know, the vast majority of the shows. Good to have you here, Peanuts Clark. But yeah, jump on early and you get to basically be unchallenged and express your views and then disappear if somebody comes on, if you're that way inclined. Certainly Arwen took advantage of that, as did Sleeping Warrior. Passionate Curved Water. He says, it be what I am. Well, yes. Yeah, enthusiastic, passionate, however you want to describe it. All good by me. Do you want to come out? You want to help Daddy? Come here. I am Rick says, Nathan Oakley 1980. There was 8 or 9 people in my hangout. We announced you were on and they all came here. I did my part. Oh, thank you, I am Rick. You know, my intention isn't to steal your audience, though. You don't have to send them all here. If you've got an audience, keep them. But thank you, I am very, very grateful. Let's check that the link is actually in the chat. That might be why no one's joined. Let's just double check it is there. Yay, it is. I don't know if somebody in the chat wants to just pop on just for a second just to check it works. Maybe P. Mars, if you can just join for a second. Or stay. You're entirely welcome to stay, of course. But if you could just join just to check it works, I'd be very grateful. Imar says, I only troll junkies and Jezebels, which is just about everyone. Very interesting. Not sure how keen the audience are to listen to If You're Happy and You Know It. Here you go, you take this. Take this away from my open microphone. There you go. Been joined by Curved Water. Pleased to have you, Curved.
Hello.
Yeah, brilliant. All working fine.
Very good.
That's the most stressful bit, knowing that a guest can join and actually say hello to me.
All right, everybody, let's get this going.
Oh, you're staying. Oh, excellent.
Need a challenger. Peanuts is probably at work. He probably can't join. Rick's trying to debate me out in the chat, so I'm going to hide in here where he can't find me.
Want me to read his comments out to you? Oh, now I'm muting the hangout. Do you want me to read his comments out to you?
I've got him up, but thanks. I mean, you can read anything, of course, but...
Been joined by Brenda. Very pleased to have you here, Brenda.
Good morning.
Morning, Brenda.
It is 9:53 in glorious Minnesota.
Probably cold.
P. Mars claims you're his neighbour, Brenda. Is that true?
I don't know. I don't know where he lives.
I don't know either. Shout out to Ace McLeod.
I think it might be Wisconsin, in which case, yes, he would be.
I thought Mars claims to hail from Minnesota also.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe.
P. Mars, you need to purify yourself in the waters of Lake Minnetonka.
Says he's from North Dakota.
Well, that's a neighboring state, yes.
Minnesota can. That's funny, Shermy.
Did either of you two catch the moth on the ISS by any chance?
No, it doesn't pass that close to me.
No, sorry. There was a bit of footage that had a literal moth inside the ISS flying around. I don't know if you either of you caught that.
No, there was no moth.
Cool. Tell me all about it. Oh, is that it? There was no moth. That was the end, was it?
There was no moth. There was no moth. It was
okay,
a piece
fine. There was no moth.
That's right. It was a piece of, I don't know, debris of some kind, paper, cloth, or something.
I don't think a moth could fly 17,000 miles per hour, so I'm going to have to say it's probably not a moth.
Or it's in a studio, and it was a moth. That's a possibility.
Anybody have video? I wouldn't even know where to begin to look.
I can have a go. I'll have a look.
There is a video, and it doesn't look at all like a moth. It looks as much like a moth as the debris coming off of astronaut suits looks like bubbles.
That's a good point, Twitwit. It could just be debris from the harnesses.
I'll share my page so you can see it as well. Can you guys see that?
Yeah, could you full screen it?
Yeah. I'll lose the music.
Hey guys.
Hello, new user.
Hello.
I'll introduce you just as soon as we finish this video. It's only about 60 seconds long.
Okay. It's not a moth. I think I saw it on a Globebusters video. They said it's a piece of his headset actually that came off. And that's actually what we're looking at. So as he moves, he tugs it. He tugs on it, and that's what we're looking at. That's according to Jaren and Bob.
I mean, he
Seen
did
enough?
seem to grab it, didn't he?
Seems to change direction and fly around his neck just like moths do.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
hear you. Sorry, I'll do a proper introduction now. Is it Earth Flattener?
Yeah, hey.
Good guess.
Yeah, so this, according to Jaren and Bob, it's his headset. So you can see as he moves, he's tugging on it. So yeah, it does look like a moth, but it's you can tell that if you look at it, it is his headset that just came out of his ear.
Oh, so it's attached. It's on like a coil that you just.
It's
just
attached, right?
too
You
low a
can see, you
resolution to see
can
it.
tell. Yeah, and you can look for it. I think it's like a Globebusters or something like that. And yeah, they very defeatedly said that it was his headset. Yeah. And on their same video, they also proved that Judith Resnick, which was one of the Challenger astronauts that didn't perish. The person that was claimed to be her is not her. The Judith Resnick that works in whatever university she works at is not the same person as the astronaut. And they proved it by showing a video of that person teaching at that college in the 80s, and she looks different from the Judith Resnick from the Challenger mission. Well, that's all. That's all I had.
I think a lot of this stuff could be straightened out if we quit using the antiquated system of like names and stuff. If everybody just had a unique individual identification number, we wouldn't have all of
Ew.
these
That sounds
we wouldn't
that
have all
sounds scary.
identifications.
That sounds very scary, dude.
Because people cannot be trusted to realize that, you know, more than one person typically has, you know, a certain name. Multiple people have that name.
It
And
would have
that
been a
does
lot
not make
easier.
them the same people.
It would have been easier if she had a barcode on her forehead. We could have just scanned her and that'd be it.
Well, that's true. That's true. So
I'd rather make the mistake of getting the wrong person over having a number put on all of our foreheads.
Not literally. I mean, it would be very small.
Like a chip, just like a little tiny chip, you know?
Exactly,
Yeah.
like a little tiny chip that you just put under the surface
Yeah,
of
yeah.
the skin. You've got it.
They could all be like 666 dot whatever,
Exactly.
you know? Like
Starting
an IP
number
address that
666.
starts with 666, you know?
Exactly. We're joined by Lewis
Not that I
Hackett.
believe in
Pleased to have you here, Lewis.
not that I believe in religion or anything, but you know.
Just a useful number, isn't it? Pleased to have you here, Lewis.
Yep, thank you. I'm just popping in real quick to say I could have said everything I said yesterday to David without being so aggressive, but it would have been far less fun, and I think he would have tried to interrupt me a whole lot more. So, just to kind of give everybody where I'm at from that.
Do you have a rifle, Rebel? You're a good shot. You could keep that bunny. Since you never see him, shoot that thing. Rick can stuff it. You can see a bunny every day.
I mean, I was just frustrated because I was making so much headway. Like, I got him to admit things, which is like a first for David. But, yeah, I'll stop distracting from whatever debate might happen today, and I'll see you guys later.
Oh, David always admits that we can't answer his questions.
Been joined by Peanuts Clark. Pleased to have you, Peanuts.
Hey, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
I just wanted to confirm. Did you, when you played that video, do you still think that was a moth?
No idea. I just knew it was being talked about. That was all.
Okay. Well, I think it's what it is it's his earpiece, and if you look closely, you can actually see the wire. So it's actually not a moth. So I think that we need to be accurate, and we need to make accurate statements. So I'm not claiming that it's a moth. It looks like an earpiece. So I just wanted to come on and say that.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know if that was already said or not, because I've been trying to get onto the link. So,
Yeah, I said that. I said it. It seems to have been disregarded, but I said it.
oh, okay. All right, man. Well, forgive me. What's up, Curve? And Brenda, take it easy, all right?
Good.
Too late. See you, Peanuts.
Do flat earthers believe in the Mothman conspiracy?
I'm sure they do. Or some of them do.
It's not really a conspiracy. It's more an urban legend, isn't it?
It's
I don't doubt it.
folklore, I guess.
Yeah, folklore, urban legend. I wouldn't really call it a conspiracy.
I saw the movie. So
What is it?
I don't
Is
have
it like
any- I don't
Mothman
have-
Prophecies?
Yeah, that's it.
That's it.
That was the name of the movie.
Is that's the Mothman theory?
Yeah, he destroyed that bridge in West Virginia.
Well, no, he didn't destroy it. He predicted that it would fall, right?
Could be something.
Supposedly.
Yeah, he demonstrated magical powers in one form or another. So I have to believe. It's
Well,
documented.
the fact that we probably didn't get was that he helped build the bridge and didn't build it quite right, so he could say that in the future.
You telling me Mothman is a flurper?
If they can keep the Mothman conspiracy a secret, then the globe is no problem.
This is not a secret. There was a Hollywood movie made about it.
So you believe in Mothman? You believe in this?
Sorry, who are you asking? Me?
The person who presented it.
I think they're doing genetic experiments and they're not telling us about it. Humans and animals.
We've been joined by True
sorry,
Seeker. Pleased to have you here, True Seeker.
Thank you.
Can you tell me about Mothman and what you believe about it and how it goes together with experiments and all this? I don't know about it.
Well, there's a book, The Island of Dr. Monroe, right? It's about like a crazy scientist who makes half man, half animal creations on this island. I don't know. I think the military is experimenting with super soldiers and animal DNA.
Well, sure, but that movie was just disinformation to deflect from the fact that it's actually going on at Dulce, where you actually escape from.
Hey, is this a mythical creature debate, or are we talking about the shape of the Earth?
Whatever.
Flat Earth and other myths, yeah.
So the flat Earth truth, and then you're trying to bring it down with other myths. Okay, that's a good tactic you're trying.
Well, they think that flat earthers believe all BS, so that just seems to go with it.
I don't believe anything substantiated. I don't think the Earth is flat because I haven't seen evidence for it. I don't think there's domes, and I don't think there's ice walls. I think there's more continents than oceans.
Mark Sargent was talking about Elvis being alive on Good Morning Britain.
That's that's brilliant. A True Seeker, you do believe unsubstantiated stories and whatnot, like that geodetic surveyors have in their programming there in their instruments or whatever, that the Earth's radius is half the stated size. So you come on and you spew stuff like that, and then you fail to substantiate that. You even post a video.
I substantiated it. You failed to recognize it.
We can't find that information in the video that you provided.
Hey, I'll never win over a professional skeptic. I'm not here to change your ever-changing goalposts. I'm just here to present the facts.
You can't even post the right video that you got the information from.
Maybe because I actually work a full-time job. My full-time job isn't to disseminate info on the internet.
Maybe because you're incompetent and a liar. That's much more likely.
Can I see some proof of those claims? I just want to see proof of the claims that I'm incompetent and a liar.
Go back and watch all of your performances in the previous debates. There's your proof. You're a liar, sir.
I wouldn't waste my time.
But
I'm just trying to exemplify the weak tactics.
You're lying now.
I'm just trying to exemplify the constant deflection and derailing of topics that you guys have to do because you have no arguments or ground to stand on. So you just constantly derail topics into talking about Mothman or somebody's degree, or you call somebody a hand job therapist. I mean, I get that. That's all you can talk about because you can't win the arguments at hand. Truth stands on its own.
Do your fiance voice now.
We proved NASA was lying with Moss.
Yeah, it was topical. If you hadn't been late to the debate,
I was slightly late. All right, I admit. Okay, I didn't hear how it connected to NASA. Could I hear that then quickly? Because that sounds comical.
No, you're going to have to listen to it later after Nathan posts it.
NASA's got moths on their videos, and we're expected to believe that moths are flying around in the lower Earth's atmosphere.
According to the one moth video, it's not a moth. It's a earpiece. You can see that it's an earpiece. If you have another example, then that's fine. But even Jaronism and Bob from Globebusters proved that it's a headset. So
can I just clarify something? So the idea of a moth flying around up there, that's ludicrous. But the idea of people flying around up there, that's a-okay, right?
Oh, sure.
No, I believe that we are not on a ball. And I don't believe there are astronauts. I believe all that stuff is on balloons. I just know that it was a headset. That's all I'm saying.
Here's a great question. They say that whatever the upper limits of the atmosphere, 4,000 degrees, but they say, oh well, there's no movement of particles, so there's no transmission of heat if you're up there. How does that even make sense?
Well, that's not even the argument. So go ahead, Brenda.
No, I've looked into it. That's generally the argument, unless you have a better explanation.
You misstated it. See, you don't understand, and that's clear by your explanation and what you just said. Go ahead and tell him, Brenda.
Okay, well then I'd like to hear how a 4,000 degree environment doesn't transmit its energy to things surrounding it.
When the atmosphere is extremely rarefied or thin. Do you know what temperature is? Truth? Do you know what temperature is?
The chemistry definition or like a general definition?
The definition.
What's temperature, man?
About 4 degrees here.
And what is that the measure of?
So I have company.
Do you need us to mute you, Brenda? Or no? Oh, true seeker, get a connection, man.
I do like these calm little moments.
Should we mute Brenda?
We're all trying to listen to what she's saying.
I'm trying to give her some privacy.
She's talking to management, trying to figure out how to co-opt the talking points and discussion going on here.
Yeah, of course, because, you know, we at the agency, we don't have telephones or email or anything like that.
So did you just move in recently?
Megatron likes to do things in person.
You're just hobbyist with a lot of free time. A lot of free time.
You jealous? Slave?
Do you think Mark Sargent's an agent, Truth?
Ooh, I don't actually know Mark Sargent. I have heard a lot of people. I have heard him get a bad rap, so I've never really spent time on his channel.
Yeah, that's one of the.
Based upon what I perceive to be his level of incompetency, he would be qualified to be a government agent.
Yeah, I think people like Rob Skiba, they're like, they're 95% truthers. They'll tell you the Earth's flat. They'll tell you this, but then they'll tell you we're all trapped in here with an ice wall, and we're stuck here, and don't look for nothing, and don't ever leave your slave job.
That you keep bragging about.
I honestly can't. I can't hate because I'm getting paid right now, and look, I'm doing two things at once.
Right.
I'm doing two things at once. I'm counteracting disinformation, and I'm exposing facades.
You're also extremely paranoid and deluded. But can you speak in your Beyonce voice?
No paranoia. I have no fear of paranoia. It's one of the most free feelings you have ever felt. No fear of paranoia. I let everything is in the creator's hand.
Right. Yeah, you're not paranoid because you believe all the crazy stuff that you do. So you wouldn't be paranoid.
I was much more paranoid. I was much more paranoid when I thought I was evolved from monkeys on a spinning ball going through nowhere, headed towards nothing. That's when I was actually scared.
You might need to re-educate yourself. Who in the world told you evolved from a monkey?
Evolution.
No.
The ape family? Okay, maybe not a monkey specifically. The ape family.
You know how these people always run around saying, like, everything you've been taught is wrong. In your case, that might be true because you seem to have misunderstood everything you've ever, claimed to have learned.
No, I've actually just taken the due diligence of asking, is the stuff that I've learned secondhand knowledge or was it firsthand accounts and knowledge? And I hate to say it, even glow people have to admit most of the knowledge is secondhand.
You learn something.
We're having a huge dissection of secondhand to firsthand knowledge, and the firsthand knowledge is much more credible.
And you learn something other than what you were taught.
Secondhand knowledge causes cancer.
I told you I was taught. I was a 4-year geology degree. I was taught. I know all about the cores, the molten S&P waves traveling through the whole Earth, and that proves that we're on a molten core. I mean, I could go on and on. I have all of the schooling.
That's a good point, P. Mars. Have you considered that it's possible that disinformation causes brain tumors? That might be worthy of investigation.
I had visitors, and I didn't hear Truth after I asked him what his definition of temperature was.
You didn't miss it either, because he never gave it, because he likes to talk about anything other than what he was asked.
Do you understand what temperature is, Truth?
Yes, it's a high to low pressure system. High goes to low. Yeah, it is.
No,
that's
not
more or less what it is. That is
That's
more or
not
less
what
what it is.
That's not
Because
what temperature
I know what you're trying to set me up for, because you're setting me up for if everything is the same temperature, there's going to be no flow. That's what you're getting at.
You're wrong. You're wrong.
All right, well then I'll give you. Okay, then say it, please.
What is temperature?
I'm asking you now. I've given my faulty answer that you said is incorrect. Now it's your turn to correct me.
See, we ask like 8th grade science questions to.
And I gave you a college answer. I gave you an advanced college answer. Yeah, I did.
No, you didn't.
I know how temperature works. Just like water, it'll always go downhill. Temperature is a similar gradient system.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No.
That's how they manipulate. That's how they manipulate. You know, when they're cloud seeding, something that we can all agree is real. That's how they do it. They manipulate the high-low pressure systems, and they can get it to do what the flow where they want.
The measure of heat.
Actually, not how cloud seeding
measure of
works.
heat. Why are we even having this conversation?
Amazing.
But that's how weather modification works.
No, it's not.
Temperature's just a measure of how much heat something has.
Not how much. Not in terms of total thermal energy.
The degree of intensity, then.
Correct.
Temperature is the average kinetic energy of a gas, right?
So can we explain how the thermosphere doesn't transmute this energy or translate it into objects that would be much cooler?
So temperature is the average kinetic energy of a gas, right? The molecules in the gas, they're either traveling fast or slow on average, right? So if they're all traveling really fast, have a high kinetic energy, the temperature is high. If they're all traveling really, really slow, on average, its temperature is low. In the upper atmosphere, the majority of the atoms that compose the atmosphere are all moving rather fast, quite fast. So the temperature is high. However, the density is very, very low. There's very few molecules of atmosphere up in the very upper levels, but they're all traveling very fast. So the temperature is high, but because it is very rarefied atmosphere.
I have a great analogy that'll just prove. I have a great analogy that'll completely tear that apart. I have a pressure cooker and an oven. Both can be set to the same temperature. Just because the oven isn't under the same amount of pressure and the particles is under the same kind of space, that doesn't mean that the 400-degree oven isn't going to cook, my turkey. Just because it's not under the same pressure, or, the same molecules aren't ordered the same.
That's a horrible analogy.
No, it's actually the same, because it's two systems with the same temperature under different pressure.
It's not analogous.
And the heat still translates. The heat always translates into the colder object.
So the reason that heat doesn't transduct very effectively in the upper atmosphere is because there simply is not enough particles of the atmosphere, atoms of oxygen, nitrogen, or whatever's up there. Because that's how you conduct heat.
Are you citing from a first?
By an atom.
Are you citing from?
Excuse me. By an atom hitting the external. Say if you have a satellite up there or people up there. In order to conduct heat, you have to physically hit the other object and transfer the kinetic energy that you have to that object. That is how heat is conducted.
All right, now
since
here's my question. Were you involved in a first-hand like study, or did you actually do this, or are you reciting off
This is
secondhand
what I
source?
learned in 8th
Okay, this is what you learned
grade.
secondhand. Okay, you learned
This is what I
secondhand.
learned in 8th
Okay,
grade.
so this is your secondhand knowledge. That's
Never
that you're taking. You're putting your faith
What
in.
primary knowledge do you have of the
I just want the record to
the
show
nature of the
that
thermosphere?
you're putting all your faith
What
into
primary
secondhand.
knowledge do you
You're
have
putting
to make
all
your
faith.
claims?
I just
None.
want. I want the record.
Elementary
Don't be a
physics.
hypocrite.
I just want the
This is
record
just
to
the
be clear
elementary physics of
that you're
temperature.
just
That's
you're
all
just
this
reciting. I just
This
want to
is-
make it clear you're reciting
is-
secondhand knowledge.
No,
okay?
this is
What are
You're
you?
taking it for faith.
physics.
Okay, thank you.
What are you doing, Truth Seeker?
I'm at a
What are you
military base
doing?
right now. I'm at a military base.
No, don't be a dumbass. You know exactly what.
No,
I'm
I am.
asking you. What are you
They're building
doing?
a shooting range. They're building a shooting range. Requested my services, and here I am.
How do you know the temperature of the thermosphere?
Because they
Have
claim
you
it's 4,000 degrees. See,
measured it?
I don't claim
Don't
claim it's 4,000 degrees. I don't need to defend their erroneous claims. They need to. And if they say that a 4,000 degree environment, just I can throw up a frozen hot dog and it'll come down frozen, well, they got an issue there.
Dude, no, you do. You have an issue in understanding.
It'll come down frozen because there won't be enough particles hitting that hot dog to transfer their energy to it in order to warm it up.
He doesn't understand that temperature is not a quantity of thermal energy.
So then if the
like
average is
BTUs.
4,000, those particles must be 20,000, 30,000.
And that
they must be so dense, that it's bringing up the average value.
Yeah,
it has to be, because if the average
you don't
is
average the particles with the vacuum.
That means the particles must be like 20,000.
You don't average the particles with 3D the vacuum.
Cubic space. Guys, I'm very good at conceptualizing. We could play this all day.
You have a gross conceptual error.
I have a gross reality conceptualization. You like to conceptualize fantasies. I conceptualize reality.
This is just
for anybody that wants to understand this, they can.
Yeah,
he doesn't want to.
What's up, guys? You're not standing on truth, or what? If you're standing on truth, you shouldn't be getting all upset like this. I don't see where you're getting all upset.
Upset with you and your behavior and your tactics and your dishonesty.
You don't like dishonesty in my tactics. Wow, here's a dose of your own medicine, buddy.
I'm not upset at all.
I think people listening.
I think you're a clown.
I wonder if you guys will be employed in a couple years. That's what I wonder. You got any good job security?
Hopefully not.
I'm 60 years old. I'm just trying to make it from one year to the next.
I'm not looking to be employed.
Fidelity Investments, I'd go hit up them. They got some great plans.
The thing is, Truth Seeker, that I think their objection is that you're challenging it based on your conception. So Robin Poe actually looked at this subject and broke it down using their maths and challenged it based on their maths. Now, if you were doing that, they may very well listen rather than shout you down, but you're doing it based on your conception. Now, I can relate to that and see why you're doing it and say, well, they've conceptualized it for me with their maths, so what? I assume that's your position. No, I don't need them to conceptualize it and give me the maths and tell me how it is. But their position, the globers on the panel, they do understand how rarefied particles won't interact enough with the ISS, and that's the standard explanation. So from my perspective, I want that to be heard. I want people to understand the explanation that is given. Right, wrong, or indifferent, agree, disagree, or don't like it, that doesn't matter. There is a standard explanation for why the 4,000 degree temperature doesn't heat the ISS, and it's been given to you several times. It's because the particles are too rarefied. That is the standard explanation. Like it or lump it. I don't agree with it either, and like I say, I've seen somebody far more experienced, Robin Poe, break it down with the maths. So that would be accepted by, I think, the people on the panel, but that's not what you're doing. Sorry.
And I have a great amount of experience with these type of professional skeptics. They will never accept the math. I have had a huge amounts of discussions. They will never accept any math that goes against this presupposed condition.
Why don't you explain it to me in a way that makes more sense than what they are telling us about how it works, which does make sense. I do understand what's going on.
Okay, so let me just say from your own claims.
Let me finish, if you wouldn't mind. You seem to be operating under the premise that, let's just say somehow you stuck a thermometer outside the ISS you expect it to take a reading of 4,000 degrees or whatever it is in this region of the thermosphere. And you're not going to get that. It's not like you sticking a thermometer inside of a body of water and getting that temperature, or of whatever, you know, near boiling or anything like that, or sticking a meat thermometer inside of a turkey and getting the reading inside of that. You're not.
Well, then how did you arrive at an average 4,000 value? How did you arrive
at
just
the definition of temperature?
Well, you just said you can't stick a thermometer out and get that value. You just said you can't stick a thermometer out and get it.
That's correct. That's correct. They get it from, it's based upon calculations.
Okay, where are the calculations? Because I'm gonna provide a link. I will dissect these today.
I don't know. I don't know. I've read that.
Because this sounds ridiculous. You're claiming to know the average. I'm being called out to show the math, and then the so-called experts are even admitting, well, you know,
no. You're being called out to support your assertions.
And I'm asking, so how does the average get determined? You don't even know, but you're so confident in it.
No, I do. I just told you. Don't say I don't know. Now I'm looking for a link.
You don't know, and now you're looking into it. You don't know, and now you're looking into it. That's the record. You stated it. I'm repeating it.
Hey, dipshit, I'm looking for the link that I read previously to give it to you. Shut your mouth.
I can talk freely as much as I want.
So, temperature
and I can tell you to shut up as much as I want.
And I will continue to deny your request. I will continue to deny your request.
Of course you will.
So temperature is based on the kinetic theory of gases. Temperature is proportional to the average kinetic energy of the random motions of the constituent microscopic particles, such as electrons, atoms, molecules. But regular disruptions.
Yes, all I'm asking is how is the 4,000 value reached? You saying you can't measure it with a thermometer. I'll accept that. That's crazy, but I'll accept it. Now explain to me, how is the 4,000 degrees calculated?
And there's temperature variance too. You just cherry pick the 4,000 number because it's like the highest one given. It's not even all of the values aren't that high, but you choose to go with that one. It's not a homogeneous, layer of atmosphere with consistent
I agree, but it's clearly a temperature that these things up in space would be dealing with, so it needs to be addressed.
But you need to understand what temperature means, and you just don't get it.
I understand what temperature means. Now I need to understand how are they making up this 4,000 value, and nobody's giving me answers. It's all just silent crickets.
I'm reading here real quickly. Temperatures in the upper thermosphere can range from about 500 degrees Celsius to 2,000 Celsius, which is about 930
now, anywhere does it say how they calculate?
3,632 Fahrenheit or higher, it says.
Yeah, okay, I believe that. Now does it say anything, since you're claiming that a thermometer could never measure this? Now, do we have any explanation on how do they get in these values?
I didn't say a thermometer could never measure this. I'm just saying if you just stuck a thermometer out there, don't expect to get a reading of, the calculated temperatures. That's the point.
Welcome, Negatorics.
We've been joined by Negator XX. Pleased to have you here.
Hi.
Hello, Negator.
It's Negatorics.
Hey, good. I just saw it. Hey, good haircut, Nathan.
Hey, Negator, real quickly, do you have a link or anything? Do you know what I'm talking about with the temperature of the thermosphere being arrived at by calculation? Are you familiar with that?
I don't know how they arrived at it. No.
Okay. I'm trying to find the source where I read that. So I'll just keep looking.
If you don't know how they arrived at it, you're just repeating what you heard, and therefore it can't be true.
That's
true. It's just secondhand knowledge, and that should be cited. Doesn't mean it's not true. It's just it should be called for what it is: secondhand knowledge off faith.
It is. If I look up a reference, say in a technical manual, is that secondhand knowledge?
Yes, it usually is. It doesn't mean it's incorrect, but the record should state what it actually is as secondhand knowledge. Of course.
No,
it's when you guys try to hide that it's secondhand knowledge that you show your true cards.
Nobody's
hidden anything.
Now we're going to get all Zetetic with it. If we don't go to space ourselves and measure it, then we can't say anything about it.
Yeah.
More or less, yeah. You lose a lot of credibility because you're just going off. What's the difference between you, the guy who reads the Bible verbatim, and the guy who reads the science textbook verbatim? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. That's why we're here where we're at. Truth stands
one
on
is
its own.
demonstrable and repeatable. The other is the words of, desert dwellers thousands of years ago or whatever.
Yeah. It's like secondhand knowledge, right?
He was there.
Oh.
Truth Seeker was there.
Okay.
So he can verify the word.
Anywho, I hadn't
I don't
heard
make
the whole
any claims about
conversation.
desert people.
I haven't heard the whole conversation, but the answer is convection to the ultimate question.
So convection is how. All right. So explain to me, how do they measure the temperature up in an environment where it doesn't transmute or translate energy, whatever word you're using, transduct.
Well, do you know what convection is?
Yeah, conduction versus convection. Yes, I do.
What's convection? I don't know. Maybe.
All right, we need a dictionary that just gives pictures here or something, I guess.
I've heard that used before, like convection. What's the word for like pastries and stuff? Convection.
Convection.
Doesn't
whipping out. Convection.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't convection have some presupposition in it about gravity? It's a long time.
Yeah, convection only works on a globe.
No.
I don't know. I don't think so.
No.
I mean, gravity might play a part, and I guess it has to play a part. I don't know. Anyway, it's just the transfer of heat via molecules. That's all.
I'll look it up just so I don't look stupid and like I've just made that up. Probably have.
Oh, I'm going to look up convection ovens. So.
Hey, no.
Well, don't worry. I when I was looking this stuff up a year ago, it said somebody circumnavigated north-south, and now they're saying no one has. So the internet has a funny way of rewriting its own version.
Who's saying? Yeah.
Yeah. What does that have to do with the price of tea in China?
What's that?
Or the temperature, or the temperature of the thermosphere.
No, I was right. Can I read the definition? The movement caused within a fluid by the tendency of a hotter and therefore less dense material to rise and colder, denser material to sink under the influence of gravity, which consequently results in the transfer of heat.
Oh, well, there you go.
There you go. It's BS. More BS. Thank you.
Why is that BS?
Because it includes gravity.
I was going to say,
wouldn't it has the word gravity in there?
My understanding with the physics was
absolutely, yes.
Would be that there would be a greater density depending on the temperature. You know, ice is more dense or less dense or whatever, depending on what it is.
Yeah, so we can call the word whatever you want. At the end of the day, what happens is observed, and it even mentions it's because of the various densities. And because, you deny how that interplays with gravity, that's fine, but what happens is observed.
All I want to know is, how does gravity change its force on hotter or cold objects? That seems interesting.
I don't know that that's what happens.
I'd say it's probably special relativity and dark matter. I'd say
it's probably going to be due to how buoyancy works.
Gravity just picks and chooses what objects it want to affects.
Yeah, by the current scientism, that's basically what we're left with.
That's exactly what it says, right? Like, I could look that up right now, and that's what it'll say about gravity.
More or less, if you learn how to read between the lines, yeah, that's what it's kind of saying. The left, it's like, well, it affects some things, it doesn't affect others. We don't know how it works. It's still a theory.
Oh, is that what it says?
Yeah, verbatim.
Can I read that somewhere?
Yep, keep searching, you'll find it.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll be back in like 10 years while I trawl the entirety of the internet to find exactly what you just said.
Cool. I'd love to send you on a goose hunt like that.
It's a wild goose chase, not a goose hunt.
I'm from Texas. They're called goose hunts down here.
I don't know if I believe either of that, but okay.
Pretty funny.
But yeah, Nathan was right. That's the definition, Deals with densities. What's the problem?
Density and buoyancy always come right back up. That density and buoyancy always come right back up to the forefront. that interplays with gravity when gravity itself is still an unproven theory and nobody knows.
Uh-oh. Nathan's retransmitting. Nathan. I'm gonna mute Nathan.
Sorry.
Echo.
My mute button's a bit knackered.
So
no, I just have a problem with people making claims with unproven theories, claiming that they know the whole mechanisms and that, well, of course it affects hotter objects more than or less than cold objects, but they have no mechanisms to explain how or why.
Oh, they don't?
What is he even talking about?
I'm sure they have something that explains why, but it doesn't explain how.
Well, the problem, Truth, just like our conversation last night, is that I think you may be a little bit misinformed about all this.
Or is it that you're misinformed? Which one is it?
Well, if our conversation last night was any indication, it's definitely you that's more misinformed.
Can you provide proof for that claim? I'll be waiting.
Yeah, where you told us that you thought the Earth's shadow on the moon caused the phases of the moon?
Yeah, that's a simple mix-up. Simple mix-up. That's nothing crazy at all. But you can keep trying to blow that up. But I won't even deny it. I did make that mistake, and I do admit it because that's a normal human error in recollection.
It's not a normal human error in recollection. That's the problem.
That's a strong indicator that something.
Actually, I've seen a debunking site get that wrong, trying to debunk flat Earth. And
yeah, I've seen globe sites claim the same. Thank you for that, because I have seen the same error too on both sides of the argument. So it doesn't add anybody any credibility. It's just making yourself look like you're looking for anything to make it look like you're winning.
Well, this would be a good indicator that we're winning, because you don't understand the model. You didn't. The debunk websites you went to were clearly wrong. You accepted them at face value. You didn't do any further investigation, right?
How do you know? How do you know I didn't do anything?
Well, because you didn't come to a correct conclusion. That I know, you don't.
All right. What gives you the authority to know that
Truth, you know what else? You accepted our explanation of the moon's phases last night without any further question. You did, didn't you?
Yeah.
So you accepted secondhand information to start with, and then you accepted secondhand information from us.
You have to concede certain assumptions just to allow some dialogue to continue, or else you guys would just constantly talk about my penis and my degree because you have nothing to talk about the Earth.
Oh, well, the Earth doesn't cause the moon's phases.
It's just, I would say 50% of our debates always get brought down to my job, my degree, or my penis, my small penis.
Well, we didn't go there last night. We talked about lots of things last night, and we ended it when it was clear that
Curved went there last night, but we love each other. It's all good, babes.
Curved went where?
Calling my fiance a hand job therapist.
Oh, yeah, I did.
Well, hey, this is I really, we could go back and forth.
No, I just want to show that I have called people names, but only names that actually I think shill is way too much of a sugar-coated term. You guys have gotten away with a sugar-coated term because I know people. I got a lot of people in my neighborhood that'll do or say anything for money. We call them prostitutes.
If we sat here and we called each other shills and retards just back and forth, that really wouldn't make for a very interesting show. And I would hate to do that.
That's literally what you guys are doing. Is you instead of calling me a shill, you're calling me a small penis boy. You're calling me this or that. You're calling me that. Replace shill with any other insult you guys have slung my way. It shows you guys can't win a debate. You can only win an insult argument.
We won the debate last night, and we won it today.
I don't think the viewers will agree, but you can keep, calling your own wins.
Well, I disagree. You remember the bubble levels?
Do they let wrestlers? They let wrestlers judge their own matches, or boxers judge their own matches.
And take note that it's true.
Oh, they don't.
Always try to steer everything that way, and they complain about it when it happens.
Truth. Again, going back and forth saying, I win, you lose, you're a shill, it doesn't do anybody any good.
No, I know. But exposing the facade and the playbook, the actual...
Exposure would involve facts and data, okay?
Yeah, of course. And you know what else exposure would do? Showing similar motives, agendas, responses, tactics. All that goes as well, too. That's data. That's exposing your data. So we know the tactics, the professional skeptic, the half-truther, the 70% truther, the 95% truther.
Yeah, all that's
you guys can control the entire spectrum. We're well aware of that, and now it's time to move on. That's why you're not getting these healthy debates. You're not getting large participation. We've moved on.
No, that's all a lie. What do you mean healthy debate? Last night, it wasn't a debate. It was you asking questions about things that you couldn't explain about your flat Earth. That wasn't a debate. It was a slaughter.
I don't claim to know the shape of the Earth. I don't claim that it's flat. There you go, inserting words in my mouth. I don't claim to know the shape of the Earth.
Oh, okay, so that's good. That's one step closer to reality, or at least an honest outlook on reality.
Yeah.
Okay.
Zetetic. I'm all about Zeteticism. Stuff you can observe for yourself and test and repeat and show it to anybody and have them do it too.
Okay. Well, I mean, that was the point last night of our little side chat, was to show you several things that
it's almost like they've removed certain words from our lexicon, because you type in the word Zeteticism on a Samsung or iPhone, it doesn't even recognize it in the glossary or dictionary. It's just funny. It's like they're trying to hide certain words from our lexicon. I find that to be interesting.
I don't care. All right.
No,
nobody hears.
Everybody
nobody cares about this philosophical
argument. Your ability to form language is directly associated with your intellect. The more words you have to use from, the higher intellect you can reach, and more accurate you can describe yourself and environment. So if they're removing certain words from our environment, it would seem they're trying to dumb us down.
Except that's not happening. Okay.
No, go ahead and type the word Zeteticism or Zetetic. Go type it on your mobile phone or anything and tell me if it recognizes it. I bet you that's not an error or an accident.
Well, I typed it on Google Chrome, which is the same browser my phone uses, and they both got Zeteticism. The Flat Earth Wiki is the first. Okay.
Okay.
Is that cool?
Well, I know. I went through huge amounts of schooling, never heard that word once.
Great, because you won't hear it in school because it's stupid.
So repeatable experiments in reality is stupid. Oh, that's interesting.
No, that's not strictly what Zeteticism is. Okay.
Repeatable observations and experiments in reality are stupid. What side are we going to side with? The person calling objective, repeatable experiments in reality, not in computer models or never-ending equations.
That's not the totality of Zeteticism.
You're calling that stupid. Wow, that shows a lot of.
No, he's not. No, he's not.
Yeah, Samuel Robotham.
I will allow him to correct himself for the record. Please go ahead, sir.
Hang on, buddy. Hang on. Okay.
No, you got it. You got it. No, because this is what you got to do.
Shall we read what the Flat Earth Society definition of it is?
No, don't change it. I don't care about the controlled opposition Flat Earth Society.
Okay, where do I go to look up the definition of it? You tell me where I go.
What?
Zeteticism. Where should I go?
Hold on.
Which definition best fits your personal view of it?
Definitely not a controlled opposition site.
Wow.
Yeah. Meanwhile,
the Flat Earth Society is a controlled opposition to make this argument look stupid. We know that. It's already been determined.
That's fine. That's cool. While you're looking for the definition that you prefer the most, I want to point out to everybody listening that Zeteticism or Zetetic astronomy is first used by Samuel Robotham way long time ago. And the problem with that is your trust in Samuel Robotham. Now, Robotham didn't have just one name. He had several, right? He had several aliases, one of them being Parallax. Now, the reason for his several aliases is because what he would do is he would schedule a lecture somewhere, get paid for it, and then not show up. Right, so we had to use different names in order to keep scheduling. Hang on. Just keep scheduling.
By
hang on, truth. Right. In order to keep making these scheduling these lectures, he had to change his name several times. Okay, so I think you really consider where you're getting this from. Anyway, go ahead.
Okay, I'm getting it from the Greek term whatever. I guess it is. What is Zetikos, whatever, and it basically just means proceeding by inquiry, which literally is the most pure form of inquisition that you could have. The most objective form of science or whatever. You get what I'm saying?
Sorry to interrupt. Sorry to interrupt, Nick. I just want to introduce Sleeping Warrior. Sorry, we've been joined by Sleeping Warrior. Very pleased to have you here.
Hi guys. I just want to share some information or some evidence that supports.
Oh, sorry. Hang on. Hang on. Is there a line or anything?
Is the what?
Is there a line, or are you just like walking into the park and gonna just cut in front of everybody to get on the roller coaster?
Sorry.
In front of everybody that's been waiting.
All right, I'll come back to me when you're ready. But I was gonna say I wanted to share some evidence that supports the ballers, but I'll wait in the line. You take as long as you want.
Hey, no, I actually have to go. So cut off this conversation. Go right to the ball. Enjoy it, boys.
Oh, so you want to hear it now?
No, hold on. Ned was talking.
Yeah, go for it, because I'm about to lose signal.
Can we just let Ned get to the end of his explanation about parallax and Robotham, please, before we go to anything else?
Sure.
That was all. Just the guy who popularized the term Zetetic astronomy, which, yeah, at its purest form, the word Zetetic does mean that. Okay, but that's not what Robotham pushed, and it's not what's commonly accepted by any of you. It's what I see with my pure eyes on the spot. You know, if you want to call it proceeding by inquiry or investigating, and that's what you want to label it as, I'm fine with that. Okay. Yeah. But anyway, that was all. Don't trust Robotham.
Yeah. I just wanted to say Robotham was a Freemason, and Freemasons started a lot of cults / religions like Mormonism, Jehovah's Witnesses. A lot of these like offshoots of Christianity were started by Freemasons.
Yeah. And it's not the application of that aspect of Zeteticism that's necessarily bad. It's the strict limitation to that and that alone, as if there's no other way to do anything other than to see it, taste it, touch it. You know, that kind of nonsense. So go ahead,
that was
Riley.
An interesting way that Neg phrased it. He said that you were misinformed as opposed to inexperienced.
In reference to truth?
Yeah, it's just an interesting phrasing. So the way you phrased it was misinformed, i.e. you have to receive the information secondhand. You are informed of it, as opposed to going out and doing it and experiencing it, which you're not obviously informing yourself of the information, you're experiencing it firsthand.
Yeah, there are different ways. I mean, I think both apply here.
Yeah, I agree. Anyway, moving on.
Sure. I don't know, truth. Sorry, go ahead, Kurt.
Oh, I'm not saying anything. Sorry,
if you just want to present me screen, Nathan.
Yeah, I'm fine with here now, sleeping where, unless Truth has something else he wants to say that would further the conversation.
I'd rather hear Riley, to be honest.
Truth left.
I never thought I'd hear Curve say that.
Yeah.
Well, look at your competition.
He's still here.
All right. So last night I was in with Imric, and he basically said he wanted me to go back and do another observation of Blackpool Tower from Hoy Lake, and I said I'm fine. I'm over there tomorrow. I'll go and do it. So I've just got back from it now, and I swear to God, they put more towers, more turbines on this horizon when I get there. Every time I go, there's more of them. And I saw this looking thing in the background. I have no idea what this is, but it wasn't there last time. And it's the size of a boat, but it kind of looks like a bridge, but it's between us and Ireland. And it's really, well, I don't know. I don't know what it is. But I was in. You do know what it is?
Yeah.
What is it?
It's a container ship. Except you don't see the hull.
Oh, maybe it is. Maybe it is.
Yeah. That the white part on the left is the control tower. I don't know what you call it.
Oh, right. I see. Well, behind the curve, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what I noticed is, as I changed my position and drove along the road, I managed to line these turbines up so that they would go in a straight line from where I'm looking to where they are. So as I'm driving down the road, you should see it now. You can see that as I'm going down the road, you can see that they begin to line up in a sec. Now, there you go. Now, what it appears, and my position. My position is it appears to be flat, and if it's not flat, it's the size of Jupiter. I've said that many times, but I've said it's definitely not the size of Soundly. But what's interesting is if you look at the angle that these turbines are at, and then you look at this top part of the turbines, it does appear that it drops behind a curve. Now, there's another lower part to this yellow part here. There's another lower part here that again kind of looks like it's dropping behind some curve. Now, I'm not saying it is curve. I'm just saying it looks like it might be curve. But if it is curve, it's not the same rate that Soundly's got it at. So I'm not saying I'm supporting Soundly at all. I'm just saying that if this is curvature, it's more consistent with Jupiter than it is Soundly's curvature, because my position is it makes it look like we live on a basketball. But that kind of does look like it's curvature. And what I can do is...
I see the same thing like at Soundly showed. I see it out my window every day. So...
What do you see out your window?
The treetops like where I live, it's flat, and you can see the treetops like curve just like Soundly's picture shows. It's like it looks exactly the same.
Have you ever been sitting on this information for how long?
Me?
No, PMARS.
I've already said this on a hangout before.
Have you made a video?
No, I'm not making a video on flat Earth.
Ah.
That's not his job. His job is to disrupt.
Yeah, that's well, and I don't think that's what he's doing. But
if Soundly can't prove it's a ball, then what am I going to do?
So all I'm saying is that, I mean, I only got this today, like 2 hours ago, but it kind of looks like the top parts. If there was another turbine here, that would have dropped behind it, and this lower part of the turbine looks like it's dropping behind it too. So I can do the same thing if I move that out of the way, a little bit further on. I can do the same. Hang on.
I want to while you're doing that, if you want to get an image that looks like Soundly's, what you need to do is get the same zoom level, and then identify the distances to those objects and try to correlate them to the distances of particular power lines.
Well, obviously, I'm not Soundly's biggest fan, so I don't really want to get one that's like Soundly's. I just want to get one that's my own, that I can say, look, this is what I found.
Yeah, can I ask real quick, what zoom level were you at for these photos? This photo that we're looking at.
I can check it in a sec.
You do realize Kara like modeled Soundly's thing out in a computer and like all the dimensions.
I realize that, but do you also realize that Soundly's observations is at 19 miles and my observations are at 30 miles and they're not comparable?
Well, you're not. No, that's not 30 miles.
Yeah, no, but I was just referencing when you said like
and I was just
size of Jupiter or whatever.
I was just putting it into context for you with your perception of the point you were making. But Kurt, go ahead.
Isn't he viewing a tower that is 19 miles away from his position at the end?
Well, I mean, let me go back to the other part of the video. I mean, I'm not saying that is curve. I'm just saying it kind of supports the being curved there, a la Soundly, because I am seeing it drop behind what looks like the curve. And if that was a cargo ship in the background, that possibly would be helping the curve argument too. But on the other hand, this is what I really went there for. This is the tower observation. When I find it again, oh, this is somewhat weird. Look at how this is shimmering.
Yeah,
I have absolutely no idea what was causing that.
Atmosphere.
I don't know whether it was me holding it with my heartbeat in my hand, because when you zoom in a lot and I'm holding this free hand, that might be my heartbeat in my hand that you see in there. I don't know why it was doing it, but when I got to the point where I was getting to, which is basically here, this is without messing around with the camera at all, because I know where to look, and there it is. There's the tower. So on the one hand, I've got potential evidence of curvature. Now, this is just with not even playing with the camera, but when I got to the other image, which was this one, this is when I did it with focus on manual focus rather than just the normal one that the camera uses. There's a little telescope. I'm on a stand here, so literally I'll zoom right in. And what's interesting about this with it on manual focus, because I worked out how to use it, you can see the viewing tower at the top of the tower, clear as day. Now, that's a lot of the tower that's shown. Now, this was about mid-tide. It was it wasn't high tide or low tide. It was in the middle and it was on its way out. So for me, it was like, oh my God, that is a really, really good picture during the day. So that was making me think that's 30 miles away. And don't forget, Mick West says it's the ball of the tower only that we should see. Yet that's how much of the tower we're actually seeing. So on the one hand, I've got possible evidence of curvature back here, or earlier on in the video, but then I've got this other evidence here that's not comparable with curvature. So I'm kind of conflicted with the evidence that I found, but nonetheless, I wanted to present it because that's what honest people do. You know, they present evidence that goes against their argument too. So let the record show that I've showed evidence that's contrary to my own perceptions and beliefs.
Very good. Did you take temperature readings across the through the air from you to the tower in order to be able to correctly calculate the
it was freezing.
It was freezing.
Yeah, it was cold. It was probably about 6 degrees. It's a cold day today. I mean, Nathan will know it's freezing today. It was freezing this morning. That was the reason why I went. The visibility were good and it was cold, so the air temperature should be. I'm going to get kicked here, by the way. Heliocentric has just joined. But the temperature of the air should be similar to the temperature of the water, so it shouldn't really be massive difference between the two. So I wasn't expecting much refraction, and I clearly don't see much of a mirror line on the horizon, which is consistent with temperature, or it seems to be at least.
Well,
so
what do you think causes obstruction again, Riley?
Say again.
What causes the obstruction that you've shown?
Tides, in my opinion.
Bubble tide?
Well, I don't know. Certainly where I live, but going back to this first video, if let me get that back on the screen. If that is actually a cargo ship and it looks like it's sat right behind the curve, that's other evidence of supporting curvature. I hadn't seen it as potentially being a ship. It looked like it was a bridge.
I also want to point out that while zooming, no more of the hull comes into view.
True.
Right. That's a pretty common thing you hear. Like you go all the way in and those.
Yeah, I've got to agree. That does look like a boat, doesn't it?
Yeah. Because that's the only thing that could be between you and Blackpool Tower, right, on the lake.
Yeah, you don't have bridges out there, do you?
Pardon?
Do you have bridges out there where you're looking?
No.
So.
No bridges.
Yeah. So I know this may spawn a lengthy discussion. I don't have time for it, but refraction gets worse with distance. Right. So the further the distance between you and an object, the more there's going to be. But even having said that, looking at Metabunk and placing a distance of 29 miles and a viewer height of about 10 feet above the water line, it says 421 feet hidden, but ignoring any effects of refraction. The tower itself is 518 feet tall.
Could I just ask Nathan's opinion of what he's seeing here? As a flat earther like me, how do you interpret looking at this? What does it look like to you? And that boat looking like it were behind the curve.
Well, without the exact distances, it's inconclusive. But off the cuff, I can see that what you're presenting initially as curvature with the what are they, turbines, doesn't correlate. But then I'm hearing Neg's explanation about the refraction increasing, and it seems plausible.
What do you think about the possibility that that's a boat?
I think that's pretty certain that is a boat, but the fact that you don't think it is, I'm not demeaning that in any way. It might not be, but to me, it just looks like a boat.
It does look like a boat now that I realise these are all connected. I thought these were independent structures. I didn't realise that these three things were connected, but it clearly looks like they are because they're evenly spaced, and that looks like it's evenly spaced as well. But yeah, that kind of does look like it's over the curve. In addition to them that look like they're dropping behind a curve. The only caveat to that is that when we get to the tower part at the end, which is what I was really going for, that doesn't look like it's behind a curve. So if the other two premises are correct, then that means something else is going on to explain this, because that's not consistent with the curve that we're seeing. Because if the curve is as much as it is there to get rid of the boat, then the tower shouldn't even be visible. So I'm conflicted. I mean, it's conflicting evidence. It's two of them support curve, but that one doesn't at all.
Well, can you go back to the point where you're fully zoomed in?
Yeah, but it's better on the other video because I've actually set the focus point on it so you can see it like as clear as I can get it.
Either or, yeah, that's fine.
I mean, I'm now going into digital zoom.
Okay, that's fine. So I'm gonna screenshot this real quick and see if I can do up something real fast.
But don't forget though, Mick says that it's only the top ball part. This bit is the only bit that's visible. So the rest of it is to be explained, but in the context of the cargo ship that does look like it's behind the curve, and the turbines that do look like they're dropping behind the curve, this doesn't support that. So it kind of dilutes the strength of the other two's arguments somewhat, because it means that if the other two are curve, something else is going on to make us see a lot more of this than what we should be seeing.
No, don't worry too much about what Mick West said. Not because he's wrong, but because I think you guys have an issue of understanding each other. It'll take a long time for me to solve what exactly was misunderstood.
Yeah, I don't take too much about him, but everybody uses his calculator for it, so we have to consider him at some point.
Well, the calculator is pretty accurate, though.
So on that note, I just wanted to show people what I'd actually collected, that it does go against my views and perceptions. And for those that allege that I'm in some way dishonest, I don't think so, because otherwise I wouldn't have shown this, would I?
Just for clarity, before we move on, though, I know you're getting into the refraction argument, but I just want to get something clear. how high is that tower and how far are you observing it from? Therefore, ignoring refraction, how much of it should be missing behind the curvature of the Earth?
I can show you the maths now. I'll do it live so that people can see it.
If you guys can bear with it, it's just a lot of people watching this may not know this argument from way back when. I know you're all very familiar with it.
So the distance in miles from where I am is 29.7 miles, and the viewer height's around about 17 feet with the tide the way it was. The tower's 518 feet tall, and that includes the ballroom. Some people say it doesn't, but it does. So the refracted hidden, according to Mick West, is 336 feet. But you have to understand that this is at the midway point of the tide. It's neither high tide nor low tide. And on previous visits, we've had pictures of what high tide looks like, and we've had pictures of what low tide looks like. So I was expecting it to be somewhere in the middle, which is exactly what we got.
If you're 17 feet approximately above the tide at that time,
yeah,
then this is how you would look at it.
Yeah, I agree. It supports this assertion, but then you have to take into consideration that what we see at low tide and what we see at high tide, because then this falls in the middle, which is what it is what I was expecting it to do. I wasn't expecting it to show loads of non-curvature.
So if you're standing at the same location later on and it's high tide, that's going to reduce your viewer height in the calculator. That's all I'm pointing out.
Yeah, I agree completely.
Okay.
I mean,
that's it.
I can show you. Ranty sent me a GIF file of what we should see, well, what we do see at high tide and at low tide. And if I could just quickly pull that up and present it, you'll see what I mean. I need to bear with me. Showing folder.
Does anybody know what the percentage is? With roughly 30 miles is about 154,000 feet. And if you're looking for, a couple hundred feet difference, just say 200, I'll round it off, 200 feet, effect of refraction.
Anthony,
percentage-wise, isn't that like 0.001?
I don't know if you can see Neg's screen, Anthony, because this is something that you can thrash out literally live, which is entertaining if nothing else. But the scale between these two, obviously you can't overlay one on top of the other. It's just a picture, but my eye.
If screen share real quick, I can kind of talk through what I'm trying to do here, and I'm doing it the poorest way possible with MS Paint instead of
no. I would agree with Neg's interpretation. Whatever he does now, I've already done this myself, and I agree it matches the observation, the claim of hidden, as per the metabunk thing, because I wasn't expecting it not to. We knew it was mid tide, and we knew that it would be pretty much supporting it, because we know what happens at low tide and high tide. So we weren't really arguing about the refraction or the perception of the refraction. It was more about how much visibility could we get on a good day when it was freezing cold, because we knew that it was freezing cold. We knew we were going to get good visibility, and that's all I was trying to do today. But somebody asked me to do, Rick said, do it in the daytime and see what you get. So I did. And that's basically why all I was trying to do today. I wasn't trying to do anything more. So,
okay.
I agree and concede that it matches, but obviously we get 10 meter tides where we live, whereas most people get between 2 and 4.
But you're conceding that your photograph matches the curvature calculator. Did I hear that correctly?
I wasn't predicting that it would do anything other than that because of because it was mid tide.
All right. So what should anybody make of this observation where you're conceding that it matches the curve calculator?
Nothing per se. It was more to do with the turbines and the cargo ship in the background. That's the reason for why I was coming on.
Right,
all I was showing with this one is how much of the tower could be seen and what level of clarity could I get from it with the camera in focus on manual. That's all I was doing
earlier you did contrast and say that you have apparent curvature or possible apparent curvature with the turbines, but yet with the tower observation, you declared that as like a win. I'm paraphrasing, as a win for flat Earth.
Yeah, well, yeah. Look, 29.7 miles. Viewer height.
That's all I'm pointing out. That's all. Go ahead.
The refracted hidden's 336. Now it's 518 feet tall. That tower. That's kind of 2/3. Now, when we overlaid it, it was just below. It was nearer to 50% than it was 2/3. But it was neither here nor there. To be fair, and you could argue that. Go on.
I was going to say that the overlay I just did it was, and I may have to redo it to make it absolutely perfect, to resize the photo I used, the drawing.
Sure.
And measuring it on screen, the hidden was a little bit closer to maybe 5/8 instead of 2/3.
Yeah, it was about half. Just call it half, just for easy maths. It was about half.
Well, it's a little bit more than half. Let me actually measure that, and I'll tell you exactly how much.
I'd have to let me just double check what the actual it was 27 feet without the tide being taken into account at all, but the tide height was about. I'd have to check with Ranty what the height was. I think it was a 3-meter tide at that point, which is about 12 feet. So you'd have to take that off it, and that's how I got to the figure that I got to. But
yeah, I just did a rough estimation on my desk with some paper, and it was about 5/8 obstructed. So whatever that translates to, it's
well, 4/8 is a half, isn't it? So it's just over half.
Yeah.
And I would assert that looks like it's more than half. But maybe you could argue that refraction would make it variable so that it would fall within the bands of acceptance. I'd argue probably not, but I wouldn't argue it too much. I was really trying to see, could I get a decent picture during the daytime when it was good observations or clear observations, and then in focus, because I've never used manual focus before. I was over in that area anyway, so it wasn't out my way to do it, and I just thought I'll go and have a look and see what happens.
Right.
So when I went there, like I say, I've got evidence of possible curvature, but I'm not sure it's curvature as per the Earth model, because it doesn't look anything like Soundly's. It looks a lot more like a much less of a curve.
You're not recreating Soundly's images.
I know I'm not recreating Soundly's. I'm doing my own work.
It's not going to look like Soundly's if you're not doing what Soundly did. You know, distance-wise, zoom level-wise.
No, but you've got to agree that the curve should be comparable, right? The curve can't be disproportionately different.
It depends on the angle you're viewing it from, dude.
And if Soundly is seeing much farther, into the distance, with the zoom, then it is going to be different because the curve does accelerate.
Yeah, but Soundly's only doing 19 miles of observation, and these things I think they're about 5 miles out. But maybe you're right. Maybe it's to do with the scale, and I shouldn't expect to see that much. But all I'm saying is that there is possible.
Check that out.
And the other thing
it has to do with the angle on how Soundly did. Like like when you're looking at boards and stuff, they're not always straight. You have to get close and look at them with a certain angle. That's what Soundly did.
So you can see that there's blue, then there's red, and then there's yellow. There's blue, red, yellow, blue, red, yellow. But now the blue looks like it's almost gone, and we've just got red and then yellow. And then there's no blue there at all. It's red and yellow. And the red's almost gone, and now we've got only yellow.
Yeah.
So maybe it is curve, but maybe it's just in my interpretation bigger. Obviously, if I had more of these towers behind it, maybe I would see an exponential drop that would then support Soundly's, maybe. But in the absence of that evidence, then maybe it's not as big as my interpretation is that maybe it's a much bigger ball than we're told.
Well, this is one of the things that comes into play here. Everybody's always say, "Oh, how did Soundly find the one place where there's curvature?" Soundly has a fairly unique situation to photograph there.
He does, but I've got a little bit of something that might support it to some degree, but I don't know. Is there a flat Earth argument for why we're not seeing this? Because I've been thinking about it, and I've been thinking, oh, maybe there's not one that I can see instantly. But when we look at that boat causes me a problem, because if that really is a boat the way it's described, and I've got to say I kind of agree that it is a boat, that does look like it is behind the curve.
Well, if you want to make your observation look similar to Soundly's, like I said, you'll have to look at his footage, count the number of power lines down, measure their distance in Google Earth, and then do the same thing for your turbines, and then try to, because you've only got he's got objects that go basically right next to him off into the distance. You only have objects that take up, a small chunk of that distance. So you have to find out which power lines are in line in terms of distance with what you're seeing, and then you can take the two images, try to get the angle left to the right about the same, and and you'll see if their dip looks like your dip. But yeah, good. For the moment, good on you.
Yeah, I mean, I've always I know you guys think that I'm the most dishonest piece of shit out there, but it really isn't the case. If I find stuff that supports the other argument, I will present it because I want to know what the truth is. I've just never found anything like it because like I say, these things are being added. Every time I go there, there's more of them, more and more and more, and it's like, whoa.
I don't actually see any of them on Google Earth. Or
no,
Google
they
Earth,
get blurred out. That's
Google
what.
Maps.
Yeah, if you go on Google Earth and Google Maps, they're blurred out. You can't see them, which is that makes me suspicious. It's like, why would they blur them out?
Well, it could just be how the photo was taken.
How about the resolution of the photo? I don't know. I'm not sure exactly.
Nathan, what's your view on that, Nathan? As a cargo ship,
in what respect?
Does it look like it's behind a curve, or do you reckon there might be another explanation for it?
I mean, the first time I looked at this, the thing that I noticed, maybe it's just my eyes and my screen, but there's like, on my screen it's about 1 inch, but I've got a very big screen. There's if you see the yellow band that runs around that turbine, if you halve the distance and then go below it in the waterline, there's like a difference in texture to the water itself. There you go. That if you go down half the distance of that yellow thing, if that makes sense. Again, the waterline. No, go down, but that distance. Yeah. Below, but the waterline.
Oh, below the waterline.
Yeah, yeah. So there's like what looked to me like a band where the waterline changes. It was more pronounced on some of the other images you had up, but it looks like there's like a difference in the texture of the water. Could just be my eyes. But that's the first thing I thought.
I never considered that it was a cargo ship, but now that someone said that looks like a cargo ship, I agree that does look like a cargo ship because I've seen them look like that before. I actually thought it was a structure that was built into the water, and I thought, what on earth are they building there? And now I'm thinking that actually it's not a structure. Kind of looks like a cargo ship, and it does kind of look like it's dropped behind the curve.
Yeah, I got
the hypothetical curve.
Yeah, I got a picture right here of a.
Sure.
That looks similar. Yeah, it looks similar.
No, I would agree. I would agree that is what we're seeing in terms of the cargo ship.
Oh wow, good pull.
Most of them don't have those beams running. Well, not most of them. It's hard to find a picture of one that has those vertical beams like that. I assume that's they have cranes mounted to them or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You don't use your P900 to peep on women, do you, Riley?
And on that note, I'll leave you guys to it.
Okay. Well, that was a palatable experience relative to truth.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. No, shout out to Cathexis, which I don't do, for last night putting up with truth. We, me, him, and Tim had a conversation with him. It ended with me yelling at him. He was disputing Cathexis.
I'm going to do a few links now that Anthony Riley has left. Massive thanks to Anthony Riley for joining the panel and giving us his evidence. Exceptional that it was. So if you are watching this show and not subscribed, click on the subscribe button and the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. There are about 50% of you watching this right now that are not subscribed, so hit on that subscribe button. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside the show while it is live. And if you would like to join the debate, there is a link in the info box below this video. With the page that you are currently watching on mute, simply click on that link to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. There are, however, a couple of rules. Number 1, please do not swear. If you do, you will be ejected. Number 2, if you are ejected, please do not try to rejoin the show using sock accounts. You will be warmly welcome back on the next stream. With that, I'll ask that anybody who has not shared the show already, please share the show on social media, and I'll transition you back to the action.
Well, this has been a nice change of pace here the last 20-30 minutes or so.
We've got about 20 minutes left, just so you know.
All right. So who wants to come in and ruin the show now?
Not heard much from Earth Flattener. He's listening in. Do a few shout-outs, maybe. Harvey Chuckles, good to see you. Flat Earth
Yeah, I'm at
Reset.
work. I'm at work, so I can't really talk that much, but I'm just waiting to really be triggered, and then I'll head out to the car and start yelling at everybody or something.
Anybody want to talk about magnetic declination?
You knock yourself out, Curved. Tell us what you know about magnetic declination.
I don't want to talk about it, but I will. It does. See, with Riley not in here, because it's basically something to do with what Anthony had been speaking of before concerning, looking south from the southern hemisphere at the same point, at the same time, all that kind of stuff. And I guess he's challenging the veracity or whatever of magnetic declination. So I could see well, I'm not slagging him off. This is just what he said. He indicated he wanted Wolpe to show a compass while he's looking south, like at the southern celestial pole. And I got the sense definitely that he's looking to challenge magnetic declination. That he thinks that maybe there is one southern celestial pole, but that people are actually looking different directions to it. It doesn't hold up. There's all kinds of ways to combat that. And what is clear, as evidenced by the fact that, you set it on a tripod, whatever you're viewing it with, you don't move it. You don't move. You just keep it in the field of view, and it doesn't move over the course of the night. The southern celestial pole is right there, the same place the entire time.
I'm joined by Pete Shea. Pleased to have you here, Pete.
Hi, Nathan. How you doing?
Hey, Thank Pete. You. I'm supposed to quit hogging the mic and let David talk. So,
is there an agenda curved? Is there a time?
Can't get anything by Pete curved.
What?
I have a question. I have a question.
I don't even know what Pete just said.
I said, is there an agenda, sort of a time limiter or something? Someone speaks now, someone speaks next, or you're supposed to do something.
That kind of agenda. No.
I have a question for you before you go away, if you don't mind.
It's open.
Cool. I mean, fair enough with the Southern Star Trails, and obviously these are the same points that have been made all along, right? There's no progress seemingly made on your side, so there seems to be no convincing you. What would satisfy you? What would convince you? And first of all, let me just say, even now, it seems to be a little unclear as to exactly what is the situation regarding the Southern Star Trails and Midnight Sun in Antarctica. It's not settled, you know what I mean? I know you have your point of view. There doesn't seem to be any clear sort of reality to it, described reality, as far as I can see anyway. So,
well, you're familiar with the old adage, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink.
Sure, you've never seen
that. And that's what we have here. Well, the necessary evidence is out there.
Well, okay, Curve, but have you seen these Southern Star Trails yourself then?
Well, that depends on what you mean. Have I been in the Southern Hemisphere and viewed them with my own eyes without looking at like other people's, the virtually endless supply of this filmed by amateur astronomers all over the Southern Hemisphere and whatnot.
All over, right? So when I say that,
this is kind of like, this is common knowledge. This, the Southern Star Trails are what we would call
you're the very one that tells us that we can't trust our senses, right? So this isn't something you've experienced. Hang on, this isn't something you've experienced.
Well, Pete, please don't tell me to hang on when you've just taken a cheap
but when I told you
like that.
I don't have earphones here, right? So when I'm speaking, I have to stop and start.
Then try to limit it to the facts and don't be inserting these personal jabs like that, misrepresenting me.
Okay, so but you do say that we can't trust our senses when it comes to movement, right? Because we can't detect movement. We are still moving at these astronomical speeds. You say there's a reality, so we can't trust.
I don't say we can't trust our senses. End of sentence. No. There are times when you can, but there are things that where your senses are not sensitive enough to rely upon to let you know whether the Earth is rotating or not, for example. That's what you're on about, right?
But you could never prove that to yourself. The layman could never prove that outside of any equipment or any other greater knowledge. If the question come up to the layman to prove to himself or prove to anyone else whether movement or the Earth is moving or wasn't, how could he do it? You could never do it, right?
Without any equipment?
With any equipment or with any this is what I say about,
sure I can. Sure I could.
Okay, so with all the best of equipment. What has proved the Earth's movement? How can you get a little piece of equipment and prove the Earth's movement?
A Foucault pendulum does it just fine.
How could that prove it to you, Curved? Have you manufactured it? Have you manufactured a Foucault's pendulum and got the appropriate specifications? And have you almost achieved perfect engineering? You can't do that, right?
Why do you need perfect engineering, Pete? I know where you're going with this, but for the audience's benefit, why do you need perfect engineering?
Okay, so first of all, you have to connect the supporting wire to the sphere. So if it's a sphere and you want accurate and unapproachable results, you have to say that it's perfectly aligned, right? So that attachment, that wire attachment, is attached perfectly to the very center of the sphere. The sphere itself is made perfect in terms of its uniform sphericity. So all of these sort of things come into account, right?
No.
They don't.
No. You know why? You know how I know this?
You want to prove that the Earth is moving on that curve. So.
Because the pendulums process according to their latitude and hemisphere, not according to any kind of a variation in engineering. Now,
but you've made your mind up already.
Pete, no, this is simple fact.
So you're just saying that this is the case. There's no point in saying anything. We can't. Remember, I asked you about the layman. Hang on, Kurt. Remember, I asked you about the layman. How would the layman prove it to themselves? And you're talking about go make a focused pendulum, but even you don't have to worry about making it now. This is what it does.
Pete, your argument is fallacious.
I can say bullshit, can't I? I'm pretty sure I can say bullshit, Nathan. Is that right?
I don't think so. No, that's a violation. I'm voting violation, Nathan.
I think. Okay, well.
So Pete, you're claiming, all right, so in essence, you're claiming that Law's inability to achieve perfect engineering is the cause of the observed precession in Foucault pendulums across the world.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not.
No, okay, what do you, then go ahead and clarify that.
But what I am saying is,
for what I'm saying in the engineering.
Okay, so what I am saying in the context of, in which you're using the instrument or the device itself, first of all, you would have to make sure that it is perfectly engineered, because if there is an imbalance, then it could create, in potential, right? It could create a bias, and that bias could be exaggerated over time. Now, here's the thing: even if this, even if you, let's just say that you do manufacture, and you know well that there's many different many different debating points regarding Foucault's pendulum in the first place. But even if you did achieve those results that you say, that's not necessarily saying that therefore the Earth is a globe. For instance, if we were in a magnetic field, underneath a magnetic field, this could have a major influence on these things, potentially depending on your position on the flat plane. And indeed, I do think that this comes into account as well. You have to take it into account.
So, Pete.
So you're not being very scientific then, Kurt, are you?
So yeah, in essence,
your grandchildren's truth, you know.
You're trying to attribute the precession of the pendulums to an engineering thing, right?
No, I am.
Yeah, you just said that's your only argument, Pete. That's all you're arguing.
Well, okay, here's my argument from my own.
If you're not arguing that, then you have no argument. You get that, right?
No.
Now you have to explain why the pendulums precess according to their latitude and why they precess in the opposite direction in the southern hemisphere. Why, if engineering is a factor, causing them to precess. Why do they not precess at the equator and precess gradually, gradually more as they move gradually away from the equator?
Right. Is what you're saying true?
Yes, what I'm saying is true. This is worldwide known information. It's exhibited every day.
Stop with the rhetoric,
It
please.
is.
Stop with the rhetoric.
This is not rhetoric.
Can you post a video, so please?
You want a video of every Foucault pendulum in the world, Pete?
No, I want a scientific look. This is if the Foucault pendulum proves a spinning Earth, I want to know about it, right? So I want a scientific paper.
How much research have you done on it, Pete? How badly do you want to know about this, Pete? You've known about the Foucault pendulum and have been a dishonest denier of them for how long now?
I'm asking you now.
I'm
asking you. Can you please stop being obnoxious? I'm asking you now.
Look it up.
Right. I'm asking you now. I'm literally asking you now because I'm trying to think it out in terms of the dodo Earth model, which I know is true, and it makes sense as well. Because if we're under a magnetic barrier.
How do Foucault pendulums precess according to latitude and hemisphere in the dodo model, which does not exist?
I'll explain why. So let's take it that what you're saying is true. All I'm asking is for a simple link where it has been shown categorically to be true scientifically. Because if there's no better or no other way to prove that the Earth is a spinning ball on the ground than with Foucault's pendulum, surely some scientific endeavor would have shown this and shown it categorically. That's all I'm asking for. If I have to go and seek this out myself, that's fine, right? Let me do that then.
You're true.
Let's take it that it's true. Let's take it that it's true. Here's my explanation. So let's take it that that's true. Here's my explanation on the dodo Earth model. The dodo never existed, and not just a preamble. The dodo never existed and always encoded the face of the flat Earth since the destruction of the previous Earth, right? So we live in a bi-barrier, bi-ball system where you have the north center isolated in its own barrier, and then we have the external barrier, which we're under. And I have said, as a part of my thinking in terms of this, that the barrier begins low at the north, right here. It rises higher in the equatorial areas, where it's at its highest point, and then it goes down low to at the southern peripherals as well, all the way around the oval Earth. You live on a rugby-shaped ball Earth, and why this might happen. So the Foucault's pendulum, null point in the center along the equator, this is the very highest point. You have equal sort of magnetic forces from either side, so it's keeping in a straight line. As you move either north or south, you're getting closer. You see the barrier is closer. If I went straight up ahead, curved from where I am now, I'd hit a barrier, but it'd be at a lower point than if I was at the equator, and not by too much. I think that the distances we're talking about at the equator, I picked 111.1 kilometers. And as you know, that's 1 degree of latitude. And I think they picked that for that specific reason. And there seems to be a lot of supporting evidence to say that there is a fixity in and around this distance. So that's just an idea. Do you understand? So the closer you are to this particular barrier, the greater the force you're under. If that's a barrier that's holding back waters beyond, which I do take it is, then you're going to be under different forces depending on where you are in relation to that overall field. So yeah, if the Foucault's pendulum does behave like that, I could see that as being a potential explanation, but I don't know. I think there's so many problems with the Foucault pendulum, and it was discredited in its day, and even Foucault, it sounds a bit encoded, doesn't it? And is it associated with the F word?
Foucault.
Foucault, right? You can Foucault yourself.
Foucault.
I know,
the
man.
Foucault
I know.
pendulum. Foucault.
But this is what
now,
this is what it's all about.
Okay. Out of all of that, the one thing that I understood was your 111 kilometers thing with the 1 degree per 69 miles thing. Let's talk about that relationship on a flat plane.
Sure, but you're not going to. Okay, go on. Off you go.
You know it doesn't work, right?
You're going to talk about the North Star, right?
It can. Well, no, not just the North Star. Sun.
I can explain it all.
I am going to round out this show in a couple of minutes' time. If anybody did want to take the opportunity to do a bit of last-minute trolling, the rules still apply, no swearing. But yeah, if you did want to click on that link to join the show and express your views, you have a couple more minutes to do so. I will come back one more time just to thank the audience for being here and thank the panel. But yeah, I'll go back to the action and I'll round out maybe in 2 or 3 minutes.
Pete, what's your distance? What's your distance from the North Pole to the equator in your flat concept?
It's pretty much the same. The distances are given, right? Distances are given. It's pretty much the same.
Pretty much the same.
In terms of straight distances. Now, of course, you'll have circumferential differences. Obviously, if you have a different, if the Earth is a flat and it's not a flat Gleason's map, you're hint with the Gleason's map, Gleason, right? When you rotate Gleason, so Australia is at the bottom, you get a dodo, and then you take the dodo and run with it. Take the dodo and run with it.
So, Pete, you want to take the 6,218 miles or so, and make that the radius from the north center to the equator?
You see, the Earth is in an oval shape, rugby ball shape. It's a different shape than what we think, right? And that shape is detailed on well, I've talked about that before. It's on Chambers Street, the ground subway beneath the WTC Center. It's called the Oculus curved mosaic.
Right.
That shape is detailed there.
So you believe the equator is about 38,000 miles in circumference, as opposed to the 24,900 or so that we know it to be?
No. I don't necessarily have a belief in regards to.
Well, Pete, if your radius is 6,218 miles or so, your circumference of the equator is about 38,000-ish miles.
Sun travels an elliptical path around Earth. Would you agree that if hang on, Chris.
It really doesn't.
Hang on, man. Would you agree that if the Earth is said to be traveling an elliptical path around the Sun, and that can be verified, right? Or that relationship can be verified. Well, if we take it that the Earth is still, then wouldn't we get the same result that the Sun travels an elliptical path around the Earth?
Right, 60
and it's over an annual basis.
60 seconds to reply. Sorry.
That's not going to conform to an elliptical equator on a flat Earth, no.
Well, it has to that, right? Doesn't it? It has to.
No, your relationship is transverse.
That's where the eye comes in, the all-seeing eye. It's coded in so many ways, but one of the ways is that's the real.
Trying to bait and switch something.
Boundaries are defined by
belong.
Well, the boundaries are defined by the pathway of the sun. So
No,
the sun
this does not make the equator oblong, Pete.
It's not about it's the external boundary.
The equator oblong.
The equator is an imaginary line. It's all about the pathway of the sun, but the sun doesn't travel in any fixed path. It's always spiraling inwards and outwards.
It's an imaginary line in the sense that no, you can't walk out on the earth and find a line painted on the surface of the land and water, marking it out. But
the Foucault pendulum does not work. It has to be started. So I don't know why you talk beyond that. It's not a fact.
Because it absolutely is a fact.
It is not. No, you have to start it. That's it. That's the end of it.
Earth, that's to be expected.
There goes your proof.
It's not to be expected. It proves neither. If you have to start it, it proves neither.
Yeah, I agree. There goes your proof of layman.
And with that, I'm going to say a massive, huge, enormous thank you, first and foremost, to the live audience for joining us, and secondly, to the live panel for making the debate possible. Be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.